Okay, good. So I lost you there. I apologize. Our stream got disconnected. And I'm just going to jump right in why I feel like you should start before you're ready. If I have not yet met you, my name is Linnita Hosten, and I coach high school students to devise a post graduation plan with the goal of helping them transition into their dream careers with ease and ultimately make you proud as the parent. And when we're live on Excellence and Everything Live, it's just my opportunity to weekly touch those who love and lead today's teen and young adult and early careers to help them develop their confidence, identify their competence, and develop that too, but ultimately making them or getting them to have a competitive advantage in their particular marketplace. So, all the topics that we touch on those three areas. Today, I wanted to talk about why it's important to start before you're ready. And before I jump into the why, I want you to check out this video of me in 2014. Ryan remembers some words back. She hung up the phone and she said, "Your acceptance letter is coming in a week. In 2 business days, it was in my mailbox." That's the power of a connect. You need a connector in your circle. Those are people who are friends or associates with decision makers. People who make good decisions and make things happen. Gotta have a connector. Stay connected. It's so interesting to watch old clips because there are things that I would never do now that I was doing in the beginning. And the reason why I feel like you should start before you're ready, I'll give you three. But the first reason I feel like you should start before you're ready, because you'll never think that you're ready. There will never be a time where you arrive and say, I have everything that I absolutely need to jump into and to do it the best that I can. Because we have this need to have everything lined up. There will never be a perfect time. The best time is the time that you decide and to move in that time. When I started this work, I didn't think I was ready. I didn't have a refined voice. I was not good at putting together content. I didn't feel like I had an authoritative voice. I didn't even think I was old enough. I was 23 in that video I just showed you. If I would have waited until I was ready, what I would have missed out on was all of the years of refining that helped me to get really good along the way. The reason that I feel like we're afraid or we choose not to start because we're not ready is that we're afraid of being mediocre when we began. You will likely not be your best when you began. It takes time to refine your skill set. It takes time to refine your confidence. And it takes time to refine your niche for you to get clear. That only happens over time as you're practicing. And there's so many people who I've just had the opportunity to kind of rub elbows with or meet as I've began an entrepreneurship journey. And everyone that I meet, none of them started when they were ready. And none of them started off being very good. They started off being okay, or they started off being like, doing it afraid, gaining confidence as they go. And I won't say faking it until you making it, because you don't have to fake it. You could be authentically growing. But I do feel like you have to start. So I say that's the first reason. You start before you're ready, because you ain't never going to be ready. And I will also say you start before you're ready, because there will never be another time of there you can't get time back. So the more you belabor, the more you delay, the less time you have to actually cultivate, learn, grow. Like your delay in starting is literally you saying, okay, I'm going to delay my growth too. I've grown so much on this journey. I could name 5 things that I don't do now that I used to do. I just give you a few of them. 1, I don't say yes to everything. I'm not going to a women's empowerment event to speak. That's not even my niche. I'm not doing that. 2, I am not dancing on stage. Like I used to do that because I felt like I had to, as I was like finding what my zone of genius was or what made me comfortable. I like to dance, but I don't have to do that in front of people. I like that's near here, there. 3, I'm not wearing business clothes. Like I'm not putting on no suit because that's not who I am. That's not even like I like fashion. I like casual attire. I like to be comfortable. I'm gonna put on a dress, but I'm not putting on no suit. But that is like me gaining clarity about who I am. So I'd say another reason why you don't wait until you're ready to start is because who you are will never be like, you'll never take the lid off of that. That comes with the lid. Like, that lid is only like released as you start to do. You start to evolve and see and practice. If you wait until you're ready, that means your practice time is limited. You put a cap on your practice time. Hey, Crystal. Crystal said time can be redeemed. Yeah, you can't get it back. You can't rewind it. You can't recycle time. You can't reuse time. The only thing you can do is organize the time that you have, because you can't even manage time. And so having ownership, I feel like we are a good steward over the things that God gifts us with by using them diligently and timely. And timely. If He's placed something in your heart, okay, let me back it all the way up. When the very first time I had a speaking engagement, so you could define me as a speaker, a coach. I also write curriculum, so you could say I'm a curriculum writer, an educational consultant. There's a lot of titles you could give me, but let's just start off. I started off just speaking and offering workshops. I did not think I was good enough. I spoke for free for 5 years, and one of the two of the areas of growth that I had to mature in was developing content that was educational, not just inspirational and motivating. I was really good at putting words together that would make you feel good, but when you walked away, there was no learning outcome. I got really good at that over time. What I also got really good at, and I feel like this is an area that most motivational speakers or beginning speakers, they fall into, is that their content is very wide. So they have like, here are 8 steps. Here is my acronym to do 10 things well. And as a listener, I can't retain, and I'm not going to say I can't because there's some people who can. Let me rephrase that. As a listener, I'd be more likely to retain something that is not wide but deep. So picking one thing and going deep in that thing, that requires study, that requires time, that requires like a level of expertise. And that's just not something that you can wing. And so over time, not only did my content wasn't refined, but it became valuable over time. And I always use the example of Beyonce. If you look back at her content, her music videos, even her songs, her voice, her album covers, what we see now today was not what we saw in the 90s. If you look back at Destiny's Child, and I love me some Destiny's Child, and you see look how she was moving in those videos. It wasn't like this 2022 Beyonce, because over time her skill set was being refined. So she didn't come out the gate being amazing. Over time, like, she practiced and refined and skills and albums and songs and tours, and that is the masterpiece that we see today. I don't believe we're born a masterpiece. A masterpiece is like it's molded over time. And the only person who could begin that journey is really you. Only you could do that. Wanda said, nope, facts. Hey, Wanda, thank you for joining. I did want to say that tonight we were scheduled to have a special guest, but she was unable to make it with us. And so I decided to shift tonight's topic to why it's important to start before you're ready. And so if you came for Samantha, I apologize. Hopefully we'll have her on in the next few weeks. But I think if you stop by today and you happen to be here for Samantha, maybe you might, I don't know, maybe God gave me this topic to share with you. Maybe He gave it to me to share with you. If you're watching live, go ahead and type in the comments, I am here, I am live. And if this is your first time joining, just let me know where you are streaming from. But yeah, I think that I could name a few things. If I never started before I was ready, I would have delayed my potential of income would have been delayed, because you're paid based off of the transformation and value you provide. That value increases over time because you've gotten better, you've gotten more refined. So that means your price increases. So the more delay you have, you're putting a cap on your income. So the longer it takes you to get in refine, get into motion, you're just basically saying, I'm okay with leaving money on the table. I think another byproduct of waiting until you're ready is that muscle of confidence is it is that development is also delayed. So there's like a level of confidence that you gain by repetition of doing something repeatedly. And if you're always running from not being good enough or not being ready, that muscle is like, it's like, I'm here, I'm ready, but I just need you to lift the weight and do the rep. So you rob yourself of that natural strength that only you can gain when you say, okay, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Hey, Elijah One. Elijah One say, yes, I am here and I am live. Good to see you. I'm glad that you're joining us. And so I don't know about you, but I want to operate in the strength that God has set aside for me. I love that on Sunday when my pastor was preaching the sermon. He totally like amplified the message that I share with parents all the time. And that is that children are a gift from the Lord. God gifts them with an assignment, like naturally inside of them. We really don't know what it is. We'll see glimpse of it through their interests, what they're naturally drawn to, their innate skills, meaning you didn't have to put them into anything for these skills to exist. They just naturally are embedded into who they are. And they will begin to experience clues about those things. It's our job as nurturers, the village, as parents, caregivers, community leaders. It's our job to see those clues and to help nurture that interest, like to help them make a connection between the thing that they're naturally gravitating to. That's our only job. It's not our job to assign them a direction. It's not our job to select their direction. It's our job to surrender to the purpose that God placed inside of them. My pastor said that on Sunday, and I hollered. And I'm not even the hollering type. But it was affirming because I've been saying that so much so. And the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because if you father, parent, godparent, or mother, or you are someone really close in the life of a young professional or teen, if they have low self-esteem or low confidence, they will never feel ready. They will never feel ready. It is their fear and discomfort of disappointing themselves and fear of failure that will always prevent them from taking the next step towards the thing they have interest in. And sometimes some of them are so fearful, just depending on the level of comfort and safety that they have in communicating with you, that they won't even say it out loud. They won't even say the thing that rubbles inside of their belly, the thing that they're fascinated with, out of fear that you might reject it, you might not agree, you don't think it's good enough. And it's not until they get into a safe community that they can begin to say it. But saying it and working towards it, those are two different skill sets. And so our job is to help them cultivate that interest and create a level of or an environment of safety where they feel comfortable saying it. And then the opportunities that we have to push them into those directions, we should be doing that too. And encouraging them to start before they are ready. Start before they are ready. Hey, Chanel, good evening. Thank you for joining us. And Latrice is also here and live. I appreciate y'all stopping by. I know y'all came by for Samantha. Samantha was unable to make it with us tonight. So I had to jump in and do what I do. I had to do what I do. But yes, starting before you're ready. And if you've ever done this before, I want you to type in the chat. If you've ever started something, if you ever started before you were ready, before you felt like you were qualified, before you felt like you had the skill set, before you had all of the elements pieced together. Have you ever done that? And if so, what was the outcome? What was the outcome? Elijah want to say, you said it a few weeks ago. We have to create a safe space because if not, they will turn to their friends who do. Oh my goodness. Yes, we talked about that. Well, Alicia, she talked about that that, well, we are the primary influencers, and secondary to that, as our children move from adolescence into teen, their friends, their friend groups become like their primary source of like not only communication but validation. And so yeah, they kind of turn to them for that safety and communication as well. Yes, Dr. Wanda said fear equals false evidence appearing real. Oh my goodness. I've I've been afraid every major transition that I've had to do in business, I did it afraid. I remember when I wrote my first book, and there were personal stories in that book that I never said out loud. The book was finished, edited and everything. When it was time to press publish, I was afraid. My finger was trembling. This was in 2017. I'm like, oh my God, people are going to read this. Are they going to think about me? Like, what are they going to think about me? Afraid. And it took me almost a year to write that. Afraid. I mean, I was also afraid when it was time to host my first event, the Black Teen Summit. Before I could press publish on their registration page, I'm like, oh my God, are people going to come? Am I wasting my time and money? What if nobody comes? And we didn't even have enough chairs. I was afraid when I applied for my agency. I'm like, oh my God, they're not going to select me. I don't even see enough Black people on this roster. I mean, every time I did something, I was afraid to invest in my first business coach, which was really close to 20K. I'm like, oh my God, what if I never see this money again? What if it's not even worth the money? Afraid. So I've become so accustomed to being afraid that now when I feel the feeling, I'm like, that means you're about to grow. So I guess it's easier for me to teach this now because I've been afraid and pushed through it so many times. And I've seen the impact that it has on not just my confidence level, but my competence as well, and my knowledge and the skill set. It's being refined. Now, when I'm afraid, I'm like, oh, this is scary, but I know it's going to work out for my good because all things work. I just hit the scripture. Oh my gosh. Elijah one says, trying to invest in my first $500,000 check from my client to invest. My hand was shaking trying to hit buy on a stock trade. My. I don't even know what that's like. Like, I don't even know. Elijah one, you got me beat there. I think your example precedes all of the ones that I have. But that reminds me when my friends were teaching me about crypto. And I put up a good 5 figures in something I was still learning. I was scared to press invest too. I was scared. Absolutely. Crystal said, push through. You have what people need. That gift made room for you. It absolutely did. And just imagine, like, I always said this, there's nothing special about me that you don't have about you. Like, and that's everybody. That's what if I could just get everybody to see that. Like, I think we idolize, we tend to like see things in people that we see their superpower, but we have one too. And so the only difference is the person whom you admiring, they did it afraid and they kept refining and showing up and doing it again and getting good over time to where they now appear to you to be very polished, very accomplished, but they had a starting point. So yes, everybody, all of them, Auntie, Mama, them, everybody, Bobby, Chobby, Shadabi, and Quantity. You gotta start before you're ready. No more delaying. That growth of your muscle, give it space to grow. You're putting a cap on your income potential. You are delaying your starting point. And I ain't even get spiritual. You're just being disobedient, to be honest. You're just disobedient, especially if you already know. So listen, I didn't plan to keep you long. I'm hoping that if you came to see Dr. Samantha, maybe you got something else out of tonight. And I hope that we can get Dr. Samantha rescheduled for another time. But ultimately, if you didn't get anything out of my message today, Start before you're ready. Start before you're ready. Elijah said, no one is better than anyone else. Absolutely. They are just more developed. Yes, I love it. And if we put in the time, we can be just as developed. Yes, absolutely. Your creation time has to triumph your consumption time. So creation looks like absorbing things of value that translate to what you're producing, versus consumption looks like absorbing things for your own benefit, like that may not have as much substance. So absorbing, it could be reading, watching, things that are just like, buying you time, entertaining you. That's consumption. But if you're in creation, meaning you're taking something that you absorbed and are learn and applying it for the benefit of someone else, that's creation. And that is where your development happens. Yeah. Dr. Wanda said, the fear of regret has to be bigger than the fear of jumping in. Everyone feels afraid sometimes. I would even go to say almost every time. Almost every time. Oh my goodness. So good. The fear of regret has to be bigger than the fear of jumping in. I love it. I appreciate y'all for stepping in and being flexible with me for this week's episode. And why you should do it, afraid. Step out on faith. God got you. I love you. I'll see you next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Bye. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence. Excellence in everything, every time.